NetsBoy, so let's hear what he has to say. His name is NetsBoy, he thinks the world is all over when the Nets just can't play. What up, Net fans? NetsBoy here, bringing your latest in your disastrously crappy Brooklyn Nets news. Words can't describe how crappy the Nets have played lately. I'm trying to think of something to say that has a little bit more substance other than the fact that they just simply suck. But there's nothing that I can really say that would be that PG, or without some sort of, censor bar. But they just suck. They're a terrible team. I can't believe I even thought that they would be somewhat decent this year. Oh my God. You need to try to suck as bad as the Nets have been sucking of late. I can't believe it. Joe Johnson has had one good game out of the first 7 games of the season. Now, he has done a decent job being creating for his teammates. He actually has a very good assist-to-turnover ratio, and he's been a very good playmaker. But guess what, Joe? This team doesn't need you to be a playmaker. They need you to be a scorer because no one else can score than Lopez. Frickin' Jared Jack has been okay, I guess, but he hasn't really exceeded expectations, hasn't really done worse. But frickin' Andrea Bargnani was good for like 2 games, and it's been a complete disaster. Thomas Robinson can get rebounds, but can't do anything. He can't play defense. Shane Larkin runs up and down the court like a spaz and then loses the ball constantly. And Wayne Ellington is the most useless guy in the history of basketball. He comes in, shacks up terrible shots and misses. Bojan Bogdanovic will hit a shot every once in a while and then turn the ball over the next possession. It's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. And then the one bright spot, Brook Lopez, decides, I'm going to do something weird with my foot and get hurt and completely blow the game against the Bucks. No! It's unbelievable how bad this team has all of a sudden become. You look at the last 3 games. The game against the Hawks, we knew that was going to happen. I knew it was going to happen. They looked good. They looked great for like 3 quarters. I think they had the lead at some point, and then the Hawks were like, wait a minute. These are the Nets. They suck. And then they just poured it on at the end and ended up basically dominating the Nets in the 4th quarter and winning. The game against the Lakers, that was the worst game ever. These are the Lakers we're dealing with. A team that really, they got some young, talented players. And there's no doubt that there's some good players there with, Randall and Russell. And obviously Kobe's still there, but Clarkson. But there's no way they should have beaten the Nets. The Nets are still a better team than the Lakers, I think. But for some random reason, the Nets couldn't do anything once again down the stretch of the games, and Thaddeus Young doesn't know how to inbounds the ball when there's a guy wide open right in front of him. His excuse was great. We weren't set up the way we were supposed to be set up. The angle wasn't good, and I didn't. You just throw the ball in or call a timeout because you had a timeout left. Holy crap! That is just terrible. This is crap that happened back in 2012 when the Nets won 12 games. Was it 2012 the Nets won 12 games? I don't exactly remember. Whenever that year was that they won 12 games, this was the type of crap that happened on a regular basis. And it's starting up all over again. And this Nets boy is not happy about it at all. I do not want to relive another 12-win season. That was torture. I wanted to shoot myself almost every single night. And I don't want that to happen again. And I'm really hoping that shouldn't happen. Personally, it shouldn't, okay? This Nets team, though they're much worse than I anticipated, they are not as bad as that 12-win team. That 12-win team had no one. It had Devin Harris and a young Brook Lopez, who I think was in his 2nd year in the league, or 3rd year in the league, and was still getting going and establishing himself. Then they had like Courtney Lee and Rafer Alston, and you got Jarvis Hayes. What a great team that was. So that team will forever be known as like the worst Nets team ever. this team is not that bad. But my God, they're sure as hell looking like it right now. I mean, I can't even describe how poorly they've been playing of late. And they play well for 3 quarters. The first 3 quarters, they look great. Same thing with the Bucks. They had the lead against the Bucks for most of the way. Brook Lopez has the little foot injury, misses the rest of the game, and the Nets fall apart, suck and die. And next thing you know, the Bucks go on a run, and they end up not blowing the Nets out, but beating the Nets. And it's just the same thing. The Nets can't play defense unless Brook Lopez is out there. They can't guard the 3, and God forbid can they make a damn 3-point shot. Nope, they can't do that either. And then they got players coming in who are the most inconsistent players in the history of basketball. In Bargnani, Larkin, Ellington, Joe Johnson all of a sudden is extremely inconsistent. You know, even Jarrett Jack hasn't been as good as he should have been, but he's been okay, like I said before. But, I mean, there are only 2 good players on the Nets that I'm out. Bogdanovic, he's another unbelievably inconsistent player. There's only 2 players on the Nets who I actually don't really hate right now, and that's Lopez and Thaddeus Young. And Thaddeus Young, I'm still pretty mad at the fact that he couldn't throw the ball in against the Lakers. But outside of those 2 guys, there is a lot of flaws with this team. And I am for just, well, hold on, calm down, NetsBoy. I just am very disappointed at how poorly they've played. Look, they've had a very tough schedule. They've played, of their first 7 games, 6 of them were playoff teams last year. But that Lakers game, they should have won that game. And they should have won the game against the Bucks the other night. And personally, I think that they should have won the other game against the Bucks as well when they played them. I mean, I look back, that they should have. Let's be honest. They should have at least 2 wins. They should have beat the Bucks the other night, and they should have beat the Lakers too. So they should be at least 2-5 instead of 0-7. But look, they can't play defense without Lopez. It's like an automatic. When Lopez is not on the floor, the defense is so poor. Look, Thomas Robinson is a great rebounder, and he's great with his energy, and he's all over the place, and I like him a lot. But he cannot play defense. His offense is still not that good. He is not. I mean, he's barely better than Reggie Evans, honestly, on the offensive end. I'm going to be straight up honest. He's just more athletic, so that makes him a little bit better on the offensive end. He can do a little bit more. But when it comes to pure skill, Reggie Evans was just about the same. You know, Andrea Bargnani can't play defense at all. Rondé Hollis-Jefferson might be the other lone little bright spot, but dude, shoot the ball! I mean, I know you're not a great shooter. You're not a good perimeter guy. But when you're open, shoot it! This is the NBA! You'll eventually make it, and I'd rather you shoot the ball than go 1-on-3 and miss the layups. I mean, it's frustrating. And then Bojan Bogdanovic, oh, man, I've never seen a guy who has such great plays 1 second and then carries the ball or passes it to the other team or just completely misses a shot. It is unbelievable how bad this team has been. Unbelievable. So, I mean, there's not much more to say other than the fact that they suck. There you go. So, let's just try to figure out a way that the Nets could not suck this bad. And first and foremost, the Lopez situation actually ended up being okay. He did leave in the Bucks game with a foot injury. He had a sore right foot. Turns out the x-rays came back negative, and they actually said they're expecting him to play in the game against the Rockets this Wednesday. So that's very good news. So if Lopez was out, this team would automatically be the worst team in the history of basketball, and they would win maybe 6 games all season. But with Lopez, he's still expected to play, and hopefully it was just a little scare and nothing more to it. Lopez needs to become more dominant. And, you know, the Nets have said this before, that they have to get him the ball more in the fourth quarter, blah, blah, this, blah, that. They just need to go to him more often, not just in the fourth quarter, but throughout the game. He is literally the most dominant player on the Nets. And honestly, he can dominate the game. But you got to get him the ball. We can't have these Jarrett Jack floaters and jump shots here and there that throws off the rhythm. We can't have these Bojan Bogdanovic's 1-on-3s shooting the ball. We can't have these tons of ISO Joe things. Listen, the Nets are the Brooklyn Brook Lopez's. All right? That's what they are. And that's what they have to be. And There's no reason that Lopez does not get at least 20 field goal attempts a game. I don't think he had. I have to look back at the stats, but I think he might have only broken 20 field goals once so far in the 7 games. He's been in the upper teens, but there's no reason Lopez does not have at least 20 field goal attempts every game. And that is the first and foremost problem. You have the most dominant big man in basketball, and he is. He is, or at least he can be, the most dominant big man. You've got to utilize him. We should not be seeing Shane Larkin trying to dribble past people and make tough floaters. We shouldn't see Joe Johnson going with these ISO Joes, step back and missing these jump shots. We shouldn't see Jarrett Jack pounding the ball onto the ground and then shooting a tough floater. We shouldn't see Brent Bogdanovich trying to go 1-on-3. We shouldn't see Rondae Hollis Jefferson turn away a wide open jump shot and go to the basket. We shouldn't see that. I mean, sure, do it occasionally because you got to, keep the defense honest, but that shouldn't be happening as much, especially on the fourth quarter. He's the best player. Utilize him. And then the other thing is the Nets need to learn how to play defense. They need to learn how to guard the three, and they need to learn to make the three. Look, I like Thomas Robinson, but his defensive presence is very poor. He's not a good defender. Neither is Bargnani. So here's what I'm going to say. I don't know if anyone picked him up. I don't think he did, but I know he got cut by the Mavs. I think the Nets should get Samuel Dalembert. I really do. Samuel Dalembert is a very good defensive center, and that's what the Nets need. I like Thomas Robinson, but at the way he's playing, I'd take Dalembert as the rotational center over him. And just to help the second unit on the defensive end. The second unit offensively has actually been pretty decent. Bojan Bogdanovic has been pretty decent in the second unit. Shane Larkin occasionally has been pretty decent in the second unit. Bargnani had that one good game, but they just can't play defense. Listen, Nets, obviously you're going to have to cut somebody in order to do that, or release somebody. I think you should waive, Willie Reed. I know that the guy has a guaranteed contract, but he's kind of useless. He's hurt right now, and I would take the cap hit, to be honest. I would take the cap hit or try to trade him for a non-guaranteed contract of some sort, or a draft pick, like a second-round draft pick of some sort. Anything to open up a roster spot, because I think Samuel Dalembert could really help this Nets team on the defensive end, which they need. Because, look, Lopez has done very well defensively. He has. But when he's not on the court, it's unbelievably how bad they are. The other thing they've got to do, look, they've got to be able to start making threes. But they don't really have any three shooters other than Wayne Ellington. I mean, Bogdanovic is kind of a three shooter, but he's inconsistent. Joe Johnson kind of is, but he's inconsistent. They need a three shooter. Why don't you call up the Oklahoma City Thunder and think about trying to work out a deal to get Anthony Morrow? I don't know who you give up for, but try to get something like that. I mean, the Grizzlies are looking to get Mario Chalmers. You know what? Why don't the Nets get Mario Chalmers? I think that'll be fine. Get rid of Shane Larkin. That guy is kind of useless. I know everyone loves Shane Larkin, but there's better people out there. I'm seeing why Shane Larkin got bounced around a little bit in his first few years in the league. He's okay, but to me, Shane Larkin should never be more than a third-string point guard, an emergency backup if someone gets hurt. He's just too inconsistent. He can't play defense at all. He just gets overpowered, and he turns the ball over way too much. So, I'll trade Shane Larkin for Mario Chalmers. I do that. Then the Nets got another three-shooter and a solid backup point guard. I mean, look, there's a lot of things the Nets could do, and let's be realistic. Billy King's not going to do really anything at the moment because it's a little too early to do things. But they just simply need to get Lopez more involved, and they just simply need to learn how to play defense. Will they do that? I don't know. I really don't. I mean, with each game, I'm getting more and more pessimistic with this team. You know, last time I said they were going to win maybe 30 games. I'm starting to think they'll be lucky to win 20. I'm dead serious. The way they're playing now, they'll be lucky to win 20 games. I still believe they could turn it around. I still think they're better than a team like the Lakers. They're still better than the 76ers, in my opinion. They're still better than, there's 3 teams that haven't won yet. The Nets, the Hornets, which is a shock because they were a playoff team last year, and the 76ers. I don't know if I want to say they're better than the Hornets, but they're better than the 76ers. I think they're better than the Lakers. I think they're better than the Timberwolves, even though the Timberwolves have a lot of good young talent. And they just beat the Bulls the other night, so watch out for them. I think they're better than a couple teams in the league, but the truth is they haven't played like it. They've played like one of the worst teams in basketball. And it's very, very frustrating to see because remember, the Nets don't have their draft pick next year. The Celtics have it, and it's unprotected, which means if it doesn't matter what happens, whether the Nets have the first pick or the 30th pick, no matter what, it's the Celtics. Sometimes they have protected draft picks that says, oh, if the Nets end up finishing getting the fourth or worse pick or fourth or better pick, 4-3-2-1, it'll stay as the Nets. Unprotected pick. So Billy King needs to do something, I think. And he's got to do something fast because I don't see this team being able to turn it around that quickly. Unless they start literally every possession giving the ball to Lopez and having Lopez either shoot the ball or pass the ball. That's it. If there's a possession that Lopez has not touched the ball, I think that player needs to get fined. Because that's the only way the Nets are going to be able to win. Thaddeus Young's been good. I think he does well, but that's just the truth. And this team is bad. And I don't know. I don't know. I was very optimistic at the beginning of the year. Obviously overly optimistic. And now I've kind of gone the opposite direction. So next, few games for the Nets. They play Wednesday against the Rockets. That's going to be a disaster loss. I mean, I know the Rockets started off 0-3, but they've really come around late. James Harden's played well. That is going to be, I don't even want to think about that game. That's going to be a disaster. But then they have another possible winnable game against the Kings. Now, you know me. I think the Sacramento Kings are a team that's going in the wrong direction. They should be getting worse instead of trying to get these players to keep them kind of mediocre. I think the Nets could win that game. They could. But anything can happen with how bad this team has been. But I'm going to say it's a win. I'm going to be extremely optimistic. I'm going to stay as optimistic as I possibly can right now and say that they will win that game. I'm just going to say it because I need to believe or else I'm going to go crazy. And then they have a game at Golden State. If I thought the Rockets game was going to be a disaster, I don't even want to think about that Warriors game. That game, oh my, I don't know. And then after that, they got the Hawks again. Then they got the Hornets, who haven't won yet, and then the Celtics. I mean, look, this team's bad, but let's just hope they at least win one of the next 3 games, and maybe of the next, 7 games, they can win 3 of the next 7. I don't know. I really don't. But whatever. So there you have it. The Nets absolutely suck. It's not quite time to give up completely on the Nets. Well, I don't know if anyone really had much faith from the beginning. But still, either way, we'll see what they can do moving forward. The good news is Brook Lopez is expected to play and that he is expected to be healthy moving forward. So there you have it. Nets suck. This will be probably my last NetsBoy for a while. NetsBoy's actually going to have ACL surgery tomorrow. NetsBoy tore his ACL playing in his men's league and needs surgery to repair it. And the surgery is officially going to be tomorrow. So NetsBoy will not be posting any videos for probably the next 2 or 3 weeks, simply because I'm not going to be able to move much. I'm going to have crutches and all that fun stuff, and so we'll see. If I can post a video, I'll post one. But this might be the last NetsBoy for a while, which is fine because NetsBoy needs to cool off about how bad it's been. So just keep your eyes open for the next NetsBoy, whether it'll be a week or 2 or 3. Just keep your eyes open, and let's keep our fingers crossed for the Nets, and let's just hope that they can turn this around. So until then, this is NetsBoy signing off. Frickin' Nets.